Hey everyone, it's Kechi, aka OBiGem. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you've all been well. I've been doing the best that I can. And I know my schedule's a little bit off this week. I normally post videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but this week I felt like I needed just a little bit of a mental break from everything. So I slowed down my production a little bit, and I decided to spend a little bit more time on producing my Let's Plays. So look forward to episode 4 of The Runaways. I've been working on that next episode a lot, and I'm hoping you guys will really enjoy it because I'm having a whole lot of fun playing with different ways to build the storylines and just really get into the heads of our characters and playing their stories out. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes. But in the meantime, I bring to you this speed reno of Canal Corner. This is the house that I moved Sunshine Rains into. That is Winter's mother. And the house is a little bit sad looking. Or it was before I renovated it. One thing that I am super not a fan of when it comes to EA's builds is, on top of them being very empty and dark, they tend to be very beige and brown on the inside. It's really super disappointing when you get into a new world and you look through all the pre-made houses and it's just different shades of browns, and it's dark and it's dingy and it's got all the cheapest items, and it's just sad and depressing and not a place that you want any of your Sims to live in. Even the pre-generated Sims with their awful fashions deserve better than a EA build that has no furniture in it and is dark and sad on the inside. There's too much sadness going on in the world, guys. We don't need our houses in The Sims to look as sad as a lot of 2020 has been. But I decided to really brighten up this build, as well as add an extra room. Since Hawk and Sunshine are separated, they of course share custody of Winter. So I imagine that on the weekends or holidays, Winter comes over to his mom's house and stays with her. So I wanted to make sure there was an extra room in this build for him. Originally there's one gigantic bedroom on the second floor and a way too big bathroom on the second floor. So what I did was I made the bathroom smaller and I cut the bedroom in half. If you remember from my reno of the Stone Street apartments I did for Ember, I did a similar thing there where I cut the big bedroom into two. That one was, I think, even bigger than the bedroom in this house. So I just think it's weird that EA makes these houses and apartments with like really gigantic rooms, and especially in apartments it's very weird because I don't know if you've ever lived in an apartment, but most of them don't have huge bedrooms like that. So I normally will cut those bedrooms into as many different newer bedrooms as I can to make it a little bit more realistic. But for these two bedrooms, I did want to, like I mentioned before, brighten things up. With Sunshine's style, I imagine her being very earthy, as I said, and the speak has for the family when I made them. Sunshine's very flower child, free-spirited type of person, so I wanted to reflect that and the decorations in our house. There's a lot of earthy tones, a lot of bright, like carefree colors, a lot of blues, and I wanted to put in a lot of plants because I imagine she's the type of person who really embraces the green living that is part of Evergreen Harbor. She wants to be able to live as green and sustainably as possible, so there's a lot of plants in this build. At the very end you'll see that I added a lot of different things to the kind of tiny backyard to reflect her dedication to just live super green and get as much from the earth as possible. But with Sunshine, I did want to just make sure her personality really came through in this renovation. So there are a lot of details in her room as far as clutter items and decor that I wanted to really show that off. You'll see that the plants pictures that I'm placing in the wall is supposed to just really feed into her idea of really living off of the earth and living green and sustainably. There are some candles that I put on top of that little shelf that is above the little ottoman type furniture. That's a CC item, as well as the pillows. I don't use a whole lot of build CC, but there are certain things that I just really love as far as build CC that I wish we had in the game. So furniture wise, I wish we had a lot more shelves that had slottable spaces and things like that. As you'll see in Winter's room, I end up adding in a closet that's a CC item, and the really cool thing about it is that it's got slottable shelves to put in your own clothing clutter inside. So I really took advantage of that by adding some of the clutter stacks of folded clothes, some towels in there, just like a washcloth I put in there. And I just wish we had more things like that so that you had more options as far as customization of different items and how they look from build to build. But you'll also see furniture wise that I did add in the Panda-sama functional bunk bed. That is the coolest thing ever. I am so glad that we have that as a CC item, because bunk beds are just an underrated item that we don't have, that I hope we do eventually get soon. But it's nice that we have all these modders and CC creators in the community that add these functionality to the game. It adds a whole lot to gameplay, and it works so well for this build, because being able to have that bunk bed in the space gave me a whole lot more room to add more furniture in Winter's room and make it feel more lived in. So one caveat with the functional bunk beds is that you want to be really careful in what you place near it so that your Sims can actually get up into the bed. When I play tested, I had a little bit of an issue getting a Sim to go and sleep in the bed, because the way that I lined up the desk was ever so slightly overlapping with the ladder. If anything, even the slightest little thing is in the way of that ladder, your Sims will not climb up and sleep into the bed. Another interesting thing I noticed when I was playtesting is that if your Sim is the only person in the household who's trying to use the bunk bed, it will a lot of times speed through the climb up into bed animation. I thought at first it was like a glitch with the animation, but then I tested it with another Sim in the household who was awake while the other Sim was going up into the bed to go to sleep, and it played the animation as long as there was another live awake Sim to be in the household to show the animation. If not, the speed 3 will kick in and that animation will not show up at all. So I thought that was interesting. I don't know if it's a glitch, but it was just something I noticed that I thought was a little bit weird. So that's just something to be aware of if you decide to use Panda-sama's functional bunk bed CC, which I'm a fan. The only thing I wish it had was more swatches for the bed, but I'm sure there'll be more updates to come for that CC item, and if not, it's just nice to have it in the game regardless. But as you can see, I'm cluttering up Winter's room a little bit more. I wanted to add some items to the slots on the bunk bed and on top of the shelves, so I decided to add some personal care items in there. It was just kind of hard figuring out things to put in there, and as you see my camera jump around a little bit, I think it's happened already throughout some of this video. I was having weird issues as far as raising items up and down. Normally if I hit the 0 and 9 key by themselves it would work, but for some reason when I was doing this Reno, it would do a bunch of funky stuff with the camera, as you'll just see right there. So I ended up having to hit Control 0 and Control 9 to raise up and down, which is normally something you only have to do when you have the Sims. I'm not even remembering. I thought that's something you only had to do with the Sims 4 camera active. I actually had the Sims 3 camera active when I play. So maybe I'm confusing. Maybe you have to do Control 0, Control 9 with Sims 3 camera, but it's just 0 and 9 with Sims 4. Let me know if you know for sure in the comments below. I am confusing things, and clearly I was thinking something different when I was building this. But after I figured that out, I was able to raise and lower objects, but it was kind of a hassle with decorating the bedroom because I wanted to raise and up an item to put in that slottable section for the bunk bed, and it was not working, so I ended up not using it and using something different. But I did want to add some sports items to Winter's room, so I did add that basketball and that hoop decal, and I think that kind of really goes in with his character. He is pretty athletic. But right now you'll see I am cluttering up that little hallway area that is that in-between area between the bedrooms and the bathrooms. I am such a fan of that side table. I used it already in my Fern Park build, and I don't know, that thing is just so cute. I would use it in every build if I could, but I added some items there, and I am doing the bathroom now. I decided to use a CC shower tub combo. As I mentioned in previous builds, I don't really like the shower tub combos that we get in game. I don't know what it is about them. They're just kind of ugly looking. And sometimes you just want like a shower tub combo that just looks like normal. So I will use a CC item for a shower tower combo any day of the week. But I am moving down to the downstairs, which I did decide to start with the bedrooms upstairs rather than the downstairs. I normally will start downstairs with the kitchen and the living room area. For this build, I decided to start with the bedrooms because there was a lot of detail I wanted to put there, and I realized it would take a lot of time. So I decided to start up here and knock that stuff out. And give it the time and attention it needs. I do want to mention with the bathroom that with the placement of the toilet, it may or may not make that right sink non-functional. I don't know for sure. When I play tested, I forgot to have a sim try to wash their hands or get something to drink there, so it may not work, but there are 2 sinks in the bathroom, so as long as that left one works, and it does, when I play tested it, they definitely were able to use the left sink. It's okay, for me anyway, that second sink is non-functional and is just there to be like decorative. If it bothers you, you can of course get rid of, well, you know what, this is not going on the gallery, so it doesn't bother me, so it's staying. But I understand some people don't like when there is something there that's not functional. For me, as long as there's a functional item to use in place of the non-functional one, I can live with it. And in this case, I am good with it. But I am renovating the kitchen right now. I did get rid of that little like cutout walkthrough entry to it. I don't know. I'm not like a huge fan of using those. I think it makes the build look a little bit dated. Houses in 2020 or even like the last like 5 years tend to have more open concept areas that don't have those, so I tend to not like to have them in my builds. But if I am going to have an opening, I'd prefer to have one that looks kind of like the one I built out. I use the spandrels in place of the cutout, which works especially well as a substitute to give the same feel as one of those entryways, but it's a little bit more modern in my opinion since it's wider. So I think that is a good alternative to what was there originally. I did use CC counters for this kitchen area. I don't know, I think that we don't have enough counter options in this game. I find myself using the same ones over and over again because some of the counter options are just, there's just never an occasion to use them. They're just that specific and how they're styled. So I tend to just swap in between using the kitchen stuff and the parenthood counters, and eventually you just kind of get bored of using them over and over again because it starts to make all your kitchens look the same. So I think CC is good for giving a little variety in the looks of my kitchens, so I use CC counters. Unfortunately, the one caveat with a lot of CC counters is a lot of times there won't be matching upper counters to go with the lower counters. I got lucky in this case since I used white counters for the lower counters, so I was able to use a different CC white counter that kind of matched for the top ones. But one thing I really adore about those top counters I use that are CC items is, as you can see what I'm doing now, I am slotting items into the counters. That is so cool. I wish we had counters in the game that lets us slot clutter items inside like that, because again, it adds a whole lot of variety into what your builds look like when you can just vary up what the inside of the counters or the cabinets look like. With the ones we get in game, we've got like already stacked in plates in some of the ones that are see-through, which is, you know, a cool detail, but it makes it look very uniform across every build you do when it looks exactly the same. This gives you the opportunity to introduce some variety, so I really liked that. Another thing I really like about CC items when it comes to kitchen is the different clutter items you can use when it comes to decorating the space. With the cabinets, the one thing I really loved is that I had some CC clutter items that were plates and cups. And you guys, the plates and bowls are stackable. So I know Simlissy did a video, I don't even know how long back, where she showed how she used debug items to kind of mimic like stacked items as far as plates and bowls. And when I was doing my Strangerville build, I tried so hard to follow her directions on how to do it so I could do that with the cabinets, and I failed. So it was the most frustrating thing ever trying to do it. And so I said, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to stack any of this stuff, and I gave up. And it ended up being a good thing I gave up, because a lot of those debug items disappeared when I went and I uploaded to the gallery. So, you know, the whole thing was frustrating a whole way around. Nice thing about a lot of CC items is that you can get stuff that automatically stacks without you having to use the move object sheet or any of that stuff. So look, I know not everybody can use CC and not everybody is a fan of CC, but if you can use it, that is one of the areas I think that you should definitely look into using it for. But as you can see, for this living room area, I am decorating the space. I did add a fireplace just because it seemed like this house needed one. All of the houses around this house, and this house included, have this chimney on top and no fireplace. So I thought, let's add one. As you can see, I didn't add a TV. Sunshine doesn't strike me as the type of person that watches TV. So I very intentionally did not add a TV to this build. In its place, I did put that little boombox on the coffee table because she does strike me as someone who likes to listen to music and dance. But in place of TV as like a recreational for fun activity, she does have bookshelves, and the bedroom, in both her and Winter's bedroom, there are bookshelves, and like there's a clutter item in her bedroom. It's like a stack of magazines, because I feel like she reads a whole lot recreationally. I did add a chess table as another for fun item. It's both a skill building and a for fun item inside the living room area, because I imagine she may dabble in that a little bit. But no TV, and I think the space would look weird if it had TV. Like I said, she just doesn't strike me as the type of person who watches a lot of TV. She probably spends a whole lot of time in nature and reading about things and traveling, and not so much watching TV. I'm sure Winter is a little bit miffed at the fact that when he goes over to his mom's house, there's no TV. But I did put a laptop in his room, so I imagine he spends a whole lot more time on that when he's at his mom's house, so it was a good trade-off. I am decorating the porch right now. I did add a little bit more of plant items on the shelf. I changed out the door for the medium door height instead of the small. There is, I believe it's either medium or tall walls for this house, so I didn't change to smaller ones. I decided to just leave that as is, but I did want to change out the doors that lead outside to the larger ones, just because it always looks weird to have the smaller door heights for outside in these builds that have the larger wall heights. It makes a whole lot more sense to use either the large or medium doors. I went with the medium one just because medium doors selections are wider for some reason. There's just not that many tall wall height doors for some reason. Hopefully that's something that EA fixes at some point, but in the meantime, I tend to not use like larger wall heights for that reason. And in this case, the medium doors ended up fitting just fine for this, despite the fact that it is a taller wall. But I am decorating the backyard as well right now. I added some planter boxes because, again, I imagine that Sunshine likes to spend a whole lot of time outside in her garden, just being one with the earth. So there are planter boxes out there. I added a bee box, and I added the little new addition from Eco Lifestyle. It's the little box with the worms and stuff. I've not used it until now, so I'm interested to see what that looks like in gameplay. But I added that. I added some greenery to the outside of the house walls. I put those little like garden I don't even know what to call them. They're the little vertical things I put by those windows there. I ended up taking those out because it was clipping through the wall. I didn't realize it would do that, so I ended up taking those out and just replacing it with like the vines that go up the wall. You'll see that in the final pictures at the end of the Reno, so just look out for that. But I'm just doing a little bit more landscaping, which you guys know that I am not a fan of. Looking at this now, I think I might have or should have added like a bush or something by that door, but we live and we learn. But I just added some additional decorations, and just to like go back to it, to the porch, I added this CC item. It's like a porch swing. It's not obviously a functional porch swing because obviously your Sims can't sit on it and swing, but I just think it's like the cutest thing ever. Your Sims can still sit on this the porch swing as just like a regular seat, but I just think it's the coolest detail. I wish we had porch swings in game. Hopefully that's something we get at some point. If not in The Sims 4, maybe in the next iteration. But as you can see here, I rearranged things slightly on the side of the house here because I remembered I added that fireplace and I wanted to add like a real chimney. So I moved things around there so I could add that in and put that chimney in as my final touch. But that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this Reno. I hope you will catch me in the next one, but for now, as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and of course stay dazzled. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Girl, you told me that's what you needed. That's in my face. Yeah, 'cause you were coward and that was easy.